Everybody, we are joined with Roy Lee from Cluely today. If you haven't heard of him, obviously you're not on the internet at this point because he's basically been all over the timeline, not only for his content, but also what his product stands for, which is basically giving you information, allowing you to cheat on job interviews. But there's it's far broader than that. And I think the vision that you have for what Cluely is 5 years down the road is really encapsulating providing help and information to people, whether it's on their computer, on their phone, different wearable devices, and helping them navigate with more tools and more information that they could have available to them.
Yeah. I mean, the end goal, like every consumer AI startup in the world, is trying to build Jarvis here, and I think it's becoming clear to everyone that chatbots are expired. The AI models right now are more intelligent than having to only need like a text question and only being able to answer that. Like right now, they can take your like your screen data and also your system audio and reason over that. And I think there needs to be a new form factor for AI. And I think right now we are the closest ones in perhaps the world right now to develop this form factor.
I haven't seen anything else that is as compelling as Cluely. I've talked to some users. I have tried the product. I'm using the product right now. Actually, I thought
That's
that
sick.
would be an opportune time to try it out. But nobody else is doing this where it feels like it is literally helping you at the exact moment you need help or need context. But a lot of people are also saying that it's just because a lot of these larger companies haven't moved in and tried to do that. What do you think your moat is at the end of the day in a highly competitive market?
Yeah, I think usually moats are sort of not a thing. I think everyone used to think like when OpenAI released ChatGPT, oh, they have a research moat, but obviously that wasn't right. I mean, DeepSeek was just much better.
Yep.
And then people are thinking, oh, they have a talent mode because all the talented people want to work at OpenAI, but that's not true. Meta poaches the researchers. Do they have a money moat? No. Google has more money. I mean, which companies actually have moats and defensibility? Arguably, the only moat that remains is the moat of the ability to command attention, and this is the big players definitely have this. But if there ever was an underdog you get in at an underpriced round for who could potentially have this ability in the future, it would undoubtedly be us. I truly think the ability to command attention will be the only differentiating factor in the future. Technology will be the ability to create new technology will be democratized, and the only thing that's left is who can capture the heart of the most people.
We got to talk attention because I think you're the king of attention when it comes to running a business that is 50%. I mean, right now I'd say it's 50% AI, 50% a media company. Is that fair
Sure.
to like to say?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
You apparently are only hiring people that have followings. Is that true? I want to understand the whole context of like how you're approaching content, how
Yeah.
you're baking it into even on the engineering side. Because I think it's a playbook that more people should be using.
Yeah, to be clear, we only hire one of two roles, and you're either a world class engineer or you're a world class influencer with over 100,000 followers, and those are the two roles. And anyone who doesn't fit one of those two roles sort of doesn't have a place here because, but it is not like you need to be an engineer with a large following. I do
Understood.
think that the best engineers are often not the best influencers, but like really right now in today's world, the two biggest opportunities are the one in AI and also the one in short form media. And I think short form media just has not been capitalized on by startups around the world. Right now, uniquely in human history, you have the ability to pick up your phone, pick up a piece of metal, talk to it for 10 seconds and get it seen, get your ideas seen and listened to by 100 million people. And never before in human history has this ability to command attention at this level of scale been possible. And nobody has seemed to really try and tap into this except and simultaneously try to build a company with AI. And I think I'm the only person doing it, and that's why I'm able to go so viral because I'm truly one of one here.
I mean, you have grabbed the reins as like build in public, be loud, don't feel like there's anything you can't talk about, don't be
Yeah,
scared of if people don't like you, you'll like I, every decision you've made, it seems like it's not you don't give a fuck. It is that you are ultimately just choosing what you think will command attention. And that is kind of just the lifeblood of Cluely at this point of like, hey, the more people that know about it, the better. The more that our brand is out there, the better. The more that we can get users to potentially click on the site, the better. Like that is ultimately just the goal.
correct. I think in the end state, the most famous person in the world who commands the most attention and the most influence and power is extremely divisive and has 51% of the population in complete support of them and 49% of the population who hates them. You see this with the presidential elections. It's close every time. It's split in half. And you see this with Elon Musk, any billionaire. You post a picture of them on Instagram, and you see nothing but hate comments like, "Man, this guy's an evil piece of shit billionaire," and like in reality, you cannot ever get to a point of high influence without having a large proportion of the population hate you. And to that end, you have to be comfortable with dealing hate. And more so, you have to embrace the hate early on and sort of like seek it out. If you don't seek out to be polarizing and do things that are controversial or capture people's attention, then you will never get to a point of being able to do this at scale. I think this is just something that people miss out on. The fear of being hated or disliked by people is holding you back from getting hundreds of millions of views and literally becoming a billionaire. And I think if you put that, if you think about it in that perspective, then all of a sudden it becomes a lot more palatable to get hated on.
Have you always had that, like, instinctively, like, you haven't cared? Or is
Yeah,
that something you grew into, or
I've always been extremely controversial and polarizing, like since birth, since elementary school. Like my earliest memories were there were always a camp of people in my class who really hated me, the shit that I said and the shit that I did, and there's a camp of people that really loved me. I think like in sophomore year, for example, I made this like tier list of a bunch of girls, and I was like ranking all the girls who was the hottest girl in my class and who was the ugliest girl in my class, and I made this ranking list, and it resulted in like it was like the most polarizing. If there ever was a situation in my life that was like it was back then. It was like everyone was fucking freaking out over it.
I mean, there's nothing more polarizing than having a bunch of girls in high school hate you. I feel like after that, it's like, hey, a VC hates me, whatever. There, it's not as bad.
Exactly. I've always been controversial and polarizing, always.
I I'd love to rewind a little bit here into the original idea for Cluely, the process. I think at this point, I'm beating a dead horse, bringing up the fact that Cluely got you in some trouble at Columbia. You basically said, sayonara, and I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go all in. This is it. I think my bigger question around like the early days of Cluely is what was like the friction points that you had to overcome outside of just getting told like, hey, this is unacceptable, you're breaking rules. Like there had to be moments in there where you were, even if it wasn't like questioning yourself, but you're like, fuck, this sucks. I'm curious, like those early day like battles you had to win.
Yeah, I mean, there was a month, and like probably the hardest month of the whole journey was the very first month where I decided I was going to post a video of me using it to publicly get an Amazon interview. And I had Amazon breathing down my neck, Columbia breathing down my neck, and at one point I was like fully about to get kicked out of school and like blacklisted from all jobs in the future. And I just thought like even my co-founders were like, "Oh man, this is dangerous. I don't think I can do this with you." And I was thinking like, man, I'm just gonna have to move out and just keep going with the interview coder and see where this takes me and hope that I don't like starve to death because right now I feel functionally unemployable. And that was definitely the hardest part. But after that month, sort of like there was like a big viral repost and the virality sort of carried me through. But that was a hard month, man. You don't have a future in school, you don't have a future in work, you're barely making any money to survive, and you haven't even told your parents.
Oh,
And like
they didn't know at all.
they had no idea, yeah. And like holy shit, that was a pretty scary moment. But I saw the vision on Interview Coder. I knew Interview Coder was going to turn into Cluey, and Cluey was going to turn into something much bigger. And I think it was like, yeah, that was the hardest month, bro. It was a tough time, man.
And then from there, you went and were able to lead a seed round. Out of that, I think you guys raised a little over 5 million.
Yep.
That was what, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago at this point.
Yeah, that was probably a little over 3 months ago now.
And then last week, or maybe the week before that, announcing a $15 million round from A16Z, which I think that of all things, the way you announced that was, I mean, pure chef's kiss, like middle fingers up, like even if you hate us, like we're still winning. Um, I,
Yeah.
I mean that was incredible to see how quickly you guys were able to go and capture one of the leading VC firms. What convinced them to ape in at that size and at that time period, in amongst all of the craziness that you were stirring up?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I am probably the most nuclear bomb investment in the world right now. You either really love Roy or you really hate Roy. And honestly, like if you back Roy, you're either the next Peter Thiel or you are like permanently banned from the world of venture. But I think if anyone can afford to make these bets, it's Andreessen. And if anyone is willing to make bets like this in the past, historically, it has been Andreessen. I think I am like completely rewriting the rules of startup marketing. And I think already you begin to see ripples and like impacts of the new rule book for how you grow companies. I think that has purely been a function of my unique ability to go viral. But I don't actually think it's that unique. I think this is like what you will see with all Gen Z companies as people in my generation grow older and start companies. You will see that they follow my playbook because this is like the playbook of everyone in my age. I think Andreessen caught on to this early. This is what Gen Z founders are like, and he's the guy who's like sort of pioneering the new age of marketing. And I think that that's actually what they backed: my ability to distribute and go viral.
Do you think like these larger corporations can compete in any way on the short form stuff? Like, is there any way for a brand to have the same connection as like a founder led company, like in today's world of consumption of media?
I don't think so at all. I don't know at what point in human civilization we decided like, oh, all companies are going to be corporate, professional, and then boring, and like have zero opinions or zero controversial takes or anything. Like I don't know at what point we decided this, but nobody wants this. Like there's not a single soul in the world who wishes, man, I wish companies were more corporate, and I wish companies were less honest with their customers. Like this is like we went down the wrong path, and in reality companies are built by like the founders, and then
Yep.
the founders have opinions. And you see even now, like this is how society is changing. Elon Musk tweets about his random political takes every single day, and he runs the biggest companies in the world. Sam Altman talks about how hot guys are on the Twitter algorithm, and he like runs fucking OpenAI. Like you see this convergence of companies and founders, and I think it culminates in me where right now Cluely is indistinguishable from Roy Lee and vice versa.
Do you think the biggest risk is a founder not fully leaning in or like getting cold feet into the middle of it? Because I feel like at this point, it's like no matter there's nothing you could tweet that I would be like, oh my god, like holy shit, like was not expecting that. I think where I see Cluely losing is like where you're like, actually, like this is too much. Like I can't, like I don't like being this public, or hey, we need to like lean off and become more corporate. Like, are you fully like bought into this? And yeah, I'm just curious, like your take there of like, it's a lot. I know it weighs on
Yeah.
people that are very like forward facing. Um, and not always is like the long term thing that a founder wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a pretty different personality type than most founders. In another life, I would be an influencer, and in another life, I would be like a celebrity. And I think I've always been attracted to the limelight. Um, and I think being a founder is like cool to me because you 4,000 years ago, the coolest thing you could do was go with your boys to the middle of the jungle and hunt the king of the forest and bring it back and flex on all the women in the village. And that is exactly what I aim to do with Cluely. I think Cluely is the king of the jungle. Like the end goal here is to redefine the interaction layer of AI, and that is like the biggest problem that exists in our like the biggest opportunity in our society today. And I'm tackling this with like my best friends, and it's the most exhilarating experience ever. And if I win, I will be I will have something amazing that I can bring back to the women of the village. And, that's what excites me. I don't think I'll ever get tired of this. I think I'm uniquely built mentally to be able to thrive in this life.
Who's like the king of the forest to you in your eyes? Is it OpenAI? Like, because I feel like
Well,
they're
no,
like,
when I say king of the forest, I mean
yeah,
like the biggest animal in the forest that like terrorized the village, and just like the biggest problem facing your society.
gotcha.
And for me, that is AI is the biggest opportunity in the world right now, and to redefine the way humans experience AI is that is the king of the jungle for me.
Love that. So today, Cluely is an overlay. It listens to what your conversations are. It can look at your screen. I'm curious to understand over time how you guys are tackling making it more personalized, having better context, like really giving that Jarvis feel.
Yeah.
Because like that felt like it really knew, like has context of exactly who you are and what you want.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it starts with collecting more data on how users are actually using the product, and we use that data to train models on every individual person. And after a certain point, when you use Cluely for a few months, then it will be impossible to switch to a different model provider because Cluely will be the ones who know you better than anybody else. And that is the end goal with Jarvis. And there's some other things we can do. For example, Cluely should be able to perform actions. If you're on DoorDash, then it should be able to like click for you. And if you say like, hey, can you order me some Chinese food? It should be able to click through and do that for you. And eventually, Cluely Well, like in true eventuality, Cluely will obfuscate all UI that is not Cluely, and it will just be you communicating with Cluely what you want, and then beyond that, it will be Cluely predicting what you want at every single moment in your life. And in the 100 years down the line, Cluely will be a brain chip that is inserted inside your brain. Not only predicts what you want, but helps you come to better conclusions, and it will literally use AI to help you think. And that is what I actually believe the end state of Cluely is. But it starts with an obfuscation of the user interface, and that starts with an overlay over all user interface. This is fundamentally a different interaction pattern than any other software that exists in the world. Sorry, that might have gone a little long-winded.
No, but I think it's good to like state like today is just obfuscating what a user's like that conversation and the information they want. But over time, as hardware, I think as human norms get different, because I mean, imagine 5 years ago talking about even using AI, like it was kind of like this far-fetched technology and nobody was using it. Now it's kind of weird if you're not. I think wearable devices are starting to make a bigger penetration into the consumer market, and at some point it's going to be normal to have Cluely within, Meta glasses or whatever it might be. But it's clear that you're looking at having Cluely wherever it can be as intimate as it can be into a consumer's life.
Correct.
What is on that intimate side? I mean, you've promoted and talked about like it can be used on first dates and certain areas that I think some people go and say, well, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, if I'm on a date, am I being fed things to say? What is that? Where's that like line that you cross? You don't. It seems as though you think there is no line that you can cross for how this is used.
Yeah, I don't think there is a line. Realistically, if you tried to have AI feed you every single line on a date, it wouldn't be a very good date, and you would probably do better if you just took over the wheel and like on your own at one point. And I think in reality, this is a lot more helpful for more enterprise conversations. If you're in a sales call, I know nothing about who, say, Hunter Oral is. I could just look you up and it would invisibly tell me everything I need to know about Hunter Oral. All of a sudden, I can say, hey, our daughters went to the same fucking high school together. And I just make shit up to make you like me more. And like all that information is super, super useful. It is information that AI can acquire for you that you could not have otherwise acquired, that will be useful, that you would be better off if the other person did not know that you're using AI to acquire. And that is like the true value add of Cluely here.
I agree. I can see like even and I think for people who are listening right now who haven't used Cluely, and I could encourage to push them over the edge. The fact that like we're having this conversation, the fact that I'm being like things are being popped up right now of like what question to ask, what can I say next? That is like real value. That is like real value being provided to me instantly and curated to me that again I don't think people realize is becoming more and more. It's gonna be an expectation to have a tool like this in the future. One thing that resonated well with me with an engineering background is you claim that Cluely is equivalent of a calculator. Calculators at one point were labeled as cheating, and now today it's like, okay, well, it's like the internet exists. Like, how is a calculator cheating? The same way Cluely is an assistant. A lot of people are labeling it as cheating. You completely push that off and say this is the next version of the calculator, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there is a technology, if AI is capable of doing something today, then you would be retarded not to think that it would be able to do it in 5 years. The models right now we are using are the worst the models will ever be in the future. And if an AI is capable of doing something, then you should not have to worry about doing it ever again in human history. I think if you went back 400 years in time and asked blacksmiths what they would think about the Industrial Revolution in a world where blacksmiths no longer exist, they would think, wow, the steam engine is stealing our jobs. It's making people dumber. There's value to be had in learning how to put the hammer to the metal, and people are just going to be dumb, stupid, and then they're not going to be able to learn. And they would have the exact same arguments that we hear about AI today. But in reality, as it turns out, you don't actually need to know how to blacksmith in order to be a functioning member of human society. And as it also turns out, the technology that automates away blacksmithing also results in a better quality of life for pretty much everyone involved. And there's just no way that you can predict where the technology will go. I think as this technology advances and comes out, like the only thing you can do is be optimistic about it and try to use it to upskill yourself and improve your own life.
Are yourself, do you consider yourself an early adopter of like all technology and like fads that are out there? Do you like try to touch as much as possible and learn?
Yeah, I really try to be. I was on Bun before the 1.0 came out. I don't use the regular Spotlight search. I don't use the regular browser. Everything I try. I'm a very strong early adopter of new tech.
Where do you think, as far as Cluely goes as a product, even outside of AI, where do you think you guys might be an early adopter to that others are gonna push away from?
Likely hardware, and then beyond that, neural interfaces.
Those are both like, I mean, software is, I would say, simplistic in the fact where you don't have to worry about actual physical, development and manufacturing, etc. Um, the hardware side is extremely hard. Are you looking to do that yourselves or partner with an external company?
We're not sure yet. It is on the roadmap, and I don't think the technology is actually developed to that point where it is more useful than a software assistant would be. I don't think anybody has made a meaningful attempt at a properly embedded desktop assistant. And the first person who wins that market will win probably close to $1 trillion in economic value. And I think if you are faced with this gigantic opportunity, if your goal is actually to be the providers of hardware and neural interfaces, it is in your best interest to be the providers of software. That will put you in the best possible position to do the next step. I think right now people are, and it's ironic because I said I would be an early adopter, but even right now, these people are too early of adopters, and I think
there is a case of being too early.
Yeah, and I think we will be the earliest viable adopters.
I think you guys, I mean, you've made the case already for at least how you're marketing the company and putting yourselves out there. I have never seen anybody else go to the extent that you have on how you're structuring that. And I think that is, and I had on Avi today, who I'm not sure if you're aware of, from Cled, and I think you've been, there's a group of you that have been all inspired a little bit by each other and said, okay, this is how marketing will be done. This is how founders will be expected to operate in the future. Companies will be expected to be transparent. And now I think there's an expectation that if you're doing something as a consumer-facing AI company, it needs to be helping people. It needs to be almost as intrusive as possible into
Correct.
what your life is. And I think that's a hard wall to get over for some people, where they're like, it's always been privacy and my information is my own. And now it's almost like, I wish AI had more information on me so it could be more helpful.
Exactly.
Are you guys looking to, are going to be like integrating more into, like, what is the level of integration that you guys want to have with Cluely? Like, is it having access to all my photos on my phone? Is it having access to my music? Is it having how far do you want to go with this, Roy?
I mean, in the end state, say we do develop the brain chips, then the integration layer will be at the level of thought. Every single thought you have will be data that we collect and own. But right now, it would just be, like what the information that is on your screen and the information that is in your audio. And due to legal restrictions, we actually can't have strict ownership over all the data. In fact, it needs to be pretty strictly encrypted. So we don't actually get to see this. But I think in the future, people will begin to realize that my data is not as important to me as the ability to have a truly efficient tool that can do pretty much everything I want. And that's always the way that the world has trended with data in the past, and it will be the way the world trends in the future.
For your average, I'm curious who your core users look like right now. Are they more on like the college-based side? Are they more on the sales side? Where are you guys seeing like your most active users?
They're more on the sales side. I can only imagine that once summer ends and school starts, we'll see a lot more usage with college students. But right now, it's a lot of like enterprisey, like sales meetings, prosumer type customers.
Yeah, I know when I join Google Meets, people have their AI note takers join in, and I can I get the same energy. It's not obviously not as direct and feeding back. This feels like, okay, if a customer says X, then I can, ask them this question as a follow-up, and you're kind of working towards the sale on the sales side. I'm curious though how you guys are trying to are you focusing on like the student side or enterprise becoming like the larger goal of expansion right now? Or
I think generally to be a $10 billion company, you need to go enterprise. To be a $1 trillion company, you need to circle back to the consumer. And I think right now the goal is to do both at the same time and see which is stickier or growing faster. I think right now we are growing too fast on both fronts for us to be willing to, drop either one. I think it is possible that we do both. And I think sort of every company grows by a lot of the companies nowadays grow by getting mass quick adoption with consumers and then using that to leverage their way into big enterprise contracts. And I can only imagine that's how we will grow as well.
Yeah, I know that this if I was running a company doing sales, I'd have everybody using this at this point. And it would go down to like, can I integrate into specific data on the from the company providing that in I know there's a system prompt that you guys allow. It would be even better like as I well it will get better as you allow it to provide more information from like the organization and other people that are at the company. So that data can be provided instantaneously back. Um, but I guess my as we like start to talk about like use cases here. Oh shit, we lost Roy.
I'm back. I'm back. Sorry.
No, it's just I was kind of getting to the point of like as you're seeing people use this, sales I think is one that's very obvious. Students is one that you've captured with obviously getting kicked out of Columbia and showing how it's used. The unknowns for you that you see coming and using this, like for interviewers, I'm not sure how much that's like gone into your head of being a show host companion. But those new verticals that you're creating for the product, what are you seeing there? What's kind of piqued your interest as a founder of being like, oh, this might be an area worth exploring more?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the most obvious, stickiest, best use case is probably customer support. The single enterprisey call industry where you actually need a teleprompter more than anything is customer support. I apologize for the internet. It's shaky a little bit, but like there's like this massive decision tree of possibilities and problems that a customer might have. And right now, customer support reps literally will study on Quizlet all the different possibilities and use that to. Sorry. Can you follow me and everything?
yeah, you broke up for a second there.
Okay, yeah. I guess TLDR. So I'm sorry. The internet is so shaky here.
Yeah,
TLDR.
too many people uploading content at the office.
Customer support is super interesting. This is the most useful case of a teleprompter in an enterprise call.
Makes sense. Uh, and the more that you guys are trying to expand into enterprise, is it still short content for that being like the surface area that you find the like get in front of these users, or no, like you're gonna go to a different marketing strategy there?
Every big company spreads via word of mouth at a certain point of adoption. The only question is how fast can you get that level of adoption? How fast can you get your product to be that useful? Once your product is that useful, then it will just spread via word of mouth. And I think the challenge of every single early stage startup is how fast can you get to that level of like escape velocity? And I think right now, obviously, the best thing the one thing that I'm probably best in the world at is generating viral launch videos.
Can
Um,
you talk about like the actual view, like number of views and customers that you're generating right now? Because it is, for people to understand, it is remarkable how much you've demanded like eyeballs on the product.
yeah, we've probably done just under a billion eyeballs, like a billion views on all platforms. Um, and to date, we just crossed like 6 mil ARR, and we just launched about 2 months ago. So it's been extremely quick growth.
And again, all this is short form, no paid marketing. The entire team is your marketing, like your influencer team is your marketing division.
But
Um, are you guys, from a perspective of like building in public, for the most part, has been you as the forward face. Um, are you guys encouraging more of like an internal, like, hey, have your own brand, like talk about like you working at Cluely, show the day, like a day in the life? Is that emerging from your kind of vision to like be as open as possible?
yes, 100%. I mean, we have like a grand cinematic universe that's planned for the Instagram, TikTok world of Cluey, and I just don't think anybody's ready for the amount of marketing content that we're about to push out to the world.
What does that mean specifically?
Yeah, we'll have a mascot that is Clue the Fox, and he'll be one of our guys in a fursuit, and he'll go out and like he'll be like this drunk, abusive fox. He'll go out and just cause like reckless situations that we know will go viral on Instagram, TikTok. We have one of our account creators who does day in the lives, and like every single day we'll post about like, hey, here's a day in the life working at Cluely. Actually, there's like almost everybody on the marketing team does this. Where they'll have their own personal Instagram account and post about, here's a day in the life at Cluely, at like the most controversial startup. Every single person here has makes one LinkedIn post a day. There's literally about, I want to say, 100 to 200 pieces of content being generated by the Cluely team every single day, and these are like all content that is independently verified by us, like the people with viral sense, as this has the potential to go viral. And yeah, there's like way crazier marketing stunts that are in the works too. Something that will come out soon is the official Cluely anime.
Cluely, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, of an abusive drunk fox as the mascot. Anime, that's a lot. Your investors are okay with all this. It seems like they're like encouraging you to just keep doing what you're doing.
There've been a few hairy situations with the investors, but generally they understand that I'm doing something that is really, really pushing the edge on marketing, and I've already changed the culture of startups forever. Already, like the way startup launches are being done has fundamentally changed, and has been like a function of me and Cluely. And I think the investors right now, they are right. Probably nobody in the world is actually in a position to give me much advice here, if you're not Jake Paul or Mr. Beast. And I think they understand that too, that I'm playing a very different and new game than pretty much every single other company in their portfolio. And they kind of just let me, like do my thing.
I mean, that's good. I mean, I think you need an investor base for your personality and your marketing style that just is kind of like, all right, we trust you to get it right. And even if things start to like look a little shaky, like we're not going to jump in and be like, all right, screw all this, you need to backtrack on it. They're just trusting you as a founder. Do you watch Jake Paul and Mr. Beast as like good I guess examples of how to grow a personal brand that can be applicable to what you're doing at Cluely? From, I guess, like they're doing it in a way that is like somewhat controversial, but they're doing it to the most extent of like spend as much as you can to do the most insane thing and generate as much controversy as possible or as much interest as possible. You guys have essentially said we are going to do whatever it takes to get as much attention by just straight up being controversial. It's not going to just be like eye grabby things that are like, putting people on an island. You are trying to be controversial. Do you think one works over the other better for like alienating potential customers on the road? Because I think that's one thing that people have asked me before I had you on. They were like, he seems to immediately eliminate a lot of people from wanting to join in and download the product because of how controversial you are as a founder. Yeah, just you don't have any care for if they like you or not then.
I actually I don't agree that Jake Paul and Mr. Beast have much overlap in the way that they've grown their audiences. And I also don't agree that controversy is like the one thing that we are optimizing for. I think with content creators, very similar to entrepreneurs, at the end of the line, the best content creators all have had their own journey to getting there. I think Mr. Beast and Jake Paul are actually probably on two opposite ends of a spectrum. Mr. Beast,
right,
he does not curse at all in his videos. They're supposed to be, like as general as possible. And Jake Paul has built like a brand of controversy and then buttoning up after the controversy. And I think like if there is like a role model to emulate our content after, it's probably neither of them. It's actually probably Andrew Tate is probably the closest to what we've done. And I think I don't think controversy is exactly what we're optimizing for. What we're optimizing for is the engageability of our content, and I think this is like particularly prominent on Twitter and LinkedIn. But in reality, the all the content you put out, the only thing that matters is how likely are people to quote post this and have something to say about it. And I think in reality, it takes a lot to make a truly engageable post. And I think I am probably one of the best in the world right now at creating engageable tweets. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm actually optimizing for controversy at all. I'm actually optimizing for engageability, and it just so happens that some of the most engaging posts are the most controversial.
It makes sense. And you guys are from, I guess from as you're expanding the team further and further here, how are you keeping that same like kind of culture? Well, here I'm gonna backtrack here. You guys have raised the the 20 million now. You have expanded the engineering team to engineers and influencers. How large is the team? How large is your engineering versus influencer side? And then how are you kind of planning for like the next 6 months as you are ramping up with more demand from both the enterprise and the consumer side?
I think we're at 12 people, 8 growth and
Oh
4
wow.
eng. And I think we are planning on scaling up eng to maybe 2 more people. But generally, I'm very happy with the status of the engineering team. And I'm also, I think nowadays you can get away with a much leaner team than you could have in the past. And I really like the vibe and culture of the office. And I don't want to lose what we have right now.
What
So
is the culture right now in the office?
it is probably the closest thing you can expect to like a frat house. We live here, we work here, we eat here, we go to the gym together. At night, we'll stay up and talk to each other, and it's like we're all like we're quite young, and it really does feel like a frat house.
I get that vibe from the content that's come out that it feels like a frat house.
Yep.
You guys are living in the office currently?
It's a 6 bedroom house, so yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 6 of us live here, and the rest of us live in an apartment like a block away.
makes sense. And I thought uh the the team was smaller than that. I didn't realize you guys had brought on so many people. I thought it was just like four of you. Um, are you like saturated on the engineering side? You would say like from like just keeping it like very lean.
Not at all. I think there's room for like 2 more engineers, but we're close to saturated. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I feel like people overhire or feel like they need to bring in more engineers to go faster. It does not seem that you're leaning into that. I think that early founder like trap of just bring in as many people so we can build faster. What is your kind of like take on shipping fast at Cluely?
I think you can probably ship faster with a smaller team with higher talent density than you can with like a bigger team. We probably end up shipping faster than like every single big company out there, and that's just a function of our team is small. We don't have as many bureaucratic checks, and we can keep the organizational hierarchy very flat. And I'm pretty sure this is how everybody needs to operate. Uh, we like speed is at the forefront of everything that we do. Um, like the posts, like we every single time we have a post idea, like the you would not believe how fast we go from idea to execution on these viral posts. The product launch video was literally thought up and executed in 2 days. And this is like sort of the case for every single viral video idea that we have, every single product idea that we have, and we are only able to do this because we all work and live together on like the same floor, and you can anytime you just need a company wide announcement, you can just stand up and make a company wide announcement rather than going through the Slack channels and like the meetings and all that bullshit.
I mean, you're clearly then a strong believer in work in person versus remote distributed work.
I think remote work is probably like the most inhumane thing we can do. We try and operate like a I guess like a tribe as close to that as possible. It feels like we are all in the jungle fighting the same king of the jungle. That's what I try to have it feel like, and you cannot possibly have this when you're working remote.
Yeah, it's clear you guys are almost like one big family from at least the piece of content I've seen, and you have to be very tight knit. What from what you launched on Friday to like the next big like feature release, or even I guess the question there even being, are you going to do it in phases of like big announcements, or is it like every day that we can ship something, it is a new release thing that we should be making content talking about, putting out there instead of doing like what Apple does, waiting a year for one big announcement, then they go quiet.
Yeah, I think the way big tech is doing is just silly. There's 365 days in a year, and every single piece of content that you post is an opportunity to get something seen by 100 million people. And every single literally minute of the day that you are not posting something, you are losing the chance to have a free lottery ticket that gets seen by to get seen by a billion people. And I just think it would be stupid of you not to be posting often, and to every time you make a change log, not just do the email blast, but make content about the change log and tell everybody in the world about what the product is that you're building.
Roy, I gotta be honest. I love what you're doing. I love your mentality on it. I think it is refreshing to hear a founder really give no fucks and have a vision and just go at it full force. I think I really have to encourage more people that are listening. And I've gotten my screen has been flooding with texts So apologies for the stutterness of this interview. It's been a lot of people coming in with questions, a lot of people putting points out there. But I have to encourage people to go and make sure that they're looking at Cluely, downloading and touching it. I want to get into one side of this that I think is very interesting. And from being a founder and going through this process of idea and all the craziness and the raising, what it has been like for you. And obviously you jumped on the call and we talked a little bit about this, but what has this entire experience been like, and like the lessons that you've learned along the way that you think people should know?
It's been really crazy. I'd say like there's maybe two lessons overall. The first lesson being take bigger risks, because I think like truly it is crazy to me that I'm following the dogmatic advice of take more risks, yet it seems that I'm the only person in the world that is taking as much risk as I am. And to me right now, like it does not feel like much risk at all looking back. And I think taking like the only way to win big is by swinging big, and if you don't swing big, then you will not be satisfied with where your life is, and you will not live the interesting life that you'd always dreamed of. And the second thing I would say is that the two biggest opportunities of our lifetime and perhaps in human history is the opportunity to make generational wealth with AI and develop technology that will generally change the world, and the opportunity to pick up a phone, record a 10-second video and get it seen by 100 million people. I think too many people underestimate the value of the algorithm and social media in general, and too many people overestimate the value of just being heads down, building a product and burning out in 2 months and just having your entire company die. Your company only dies for two reasons: you either run out of motivation. In fact, I think that's the only, or you split up with your co-founders. And if you can consistently go viral, which is very easy to do nowadays, you will run out of neither of those things. And I think those are the only lessons that I'd have to say.
Have you, I'm on the lesson side, have you gotten advice from people? I mean, I feel like everybody's been in your ear chirping. You've listened to some, haven't listened to others. Um, is there advice you've been given along this path so far that you wish you had taken back in hindsight or like implemented earlier?
I think to date, the only advice that I have taken and thought was correct was that people telling me sometimes you should double down on what you're doing with the whole cheat on everything thing. I think there have been a few times where I thought, oh, maybe this is the time to button up and clean up. We've gotten the views and engagement bait out of it. And now it's time to clean up the act. But the only advice that I've given that was truly helpful was when people told me you should probably keep doing what you're doing. And in coming this far, I've probably ignored the advice of 99% of people and 99% of the advice that I've been given. And every single time it's like been wrong. People don't understand what you're doing better than you do. Nobody understands what you're doing better than you do, including even your own investors. And I think there's like, as a founder, if you're generally trying to build a generational company, then you need to just ignore the voices of everyone that is not your internal voice. And it is okay to like accept advice and feedback, but you know what your North Star is, and I know what my North Star is. And it has only helped me to ignore the advice of others.
That was not the, I mean, I think that's a good answer though. I think a lot of people are sideline, operators where they like to yell and chirp and give their 2 cents and they think they're right, but they're not in the middle of flying the plane. Um, I think it's good to hear a founder say listen, but don't act off of just hearing what an investor says or a high school friend or whoever it might be. You just need to be doing what you think is best for the company.
Yeah.
Roy, I gotta thank you for coming on. I have nothing but the utmost respect for what you're building. I fall into the camp of people that think you are ultimately going to win. I think that there is nothing but pure, like I think your moat is, again, the ability to put out content, to demand attention, to always keep people interested in what you're doing. And I really do think that the playbook that you're laying out is the future of startups. So I'm very, very excited to keep watching what you're building, excited for the future of what Cluely is putting out in their product. And yeah, just a huge fan.
Thank you so much, brother. It was a pleasure being on.
Awesome, brother. Again, if you haven't, make sure you're following Roy. Go check out Cluely, download it. A huge fan of using the product. A little crazy to use it for the first time on the interview. A lot coming out. I mean, the thing really puts out a lot of information.
Yeah.
I trying to read through everything in a full conversation and then act off of it is a little hard, but I can see how for a sales rep, etc., insanely valuable.
Yeah. I mean, it was yeah. Th- th- thanks a ton. I'll catch you later, brother.